the days of just having Kyler Murray being the only capable quarterback and the only experienced quarterback, the most experienced quarterback in the QB room, and they should be done.
These are Kyler Murray's numbers on the year. He's going to throw for probably a career high. If he throws for over 300 yards this Sunday, which is a possibility, he'll have a career high in passing yards. The biggest indictment of Kyler Murray is that middle section there, that second column. Not necessarily the picks, although post-bye, they haven't been good, right? His passing touchdowns are egregiously low. And I'm sure he's going to attempt to fix that this offseason. He and Drew Petzing need to sit in a room, 8x10 room, with a whiteboard and figure this out. It's not good enough. Right. 17 passing touchdowns is the reason above all else the Cardinals are out of the playoffs today. You cannot convince me otherwise. But then look, 550 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 91, which used to be, close to 100, but then the interceptions came and the touchdowns dropped. And then, of course, QBR, he's 11th at 67. So, I mean, depending on how you want to spin it, that looks like about the 14th to 17th best starting quarterback in the NFL, which is typically what the Cardinals have in terms of their record. 8, 7 wins, somewhere in quarterback purgatory. So if you're Drew Petzing and Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenford, you have to have faith that you can build off those numbers next year. 5 to 7 more passing touchdowns probably gets you 2 to 4 more wins, which gets you into the playoffs, right? Now, the concern, though, is, and what those numbers don't emphasize specifically is, why is Kyler Murray amongst the NFL worst quarterbacks at the end of the year? Why does that keep happening? From 2020, 2021, and now this year. And took out the ACL year and the recovery year, Bo. If that's a thing next year, then we have our answer long term. Right. But right now, it's like you're not getting those numbers probably from anybody else who's available this offseason.
Right. I mean, it's like I said, you got to raise the talent floor in the room, put the pressure on. I was talking to Zach Berman from PHLY Eagles, and they throw out anybody at the quarterback position, even though Kenny Pickett is holding on to the football through his release and falling to the ground like a clown, a mime doing some sort of performance.
Yeah.
But then he's not turned the football over. He's got a touchdown pass. Tanner McKee. Remember our sweet little mock draft machine, Tanner McKee, darling?
I saw him. He had a nice touchdown pass.
He threw 2 touchdown passes yesterday on like 4 attempts. I mean, that Tanner McKee came in. It was more productive than Kyler Murray, I think, over the last 2 games throwing the football to the end zone.
It's just bad. It's not good enough.
It is. But like you look at Philly, and they're always in the market to upgrade their quarterback position, and you need to do that. And even back like when Howie Roseman was criticized for taking Jalen Hurts in the second round, it's like, hey, you got Carson Wentz. You invested in Carson Wentz. It's like, well, we're a quarterback factory, and we're going to benefit from it regardless if the guy plays serious downs for us, or if it becomes like a Jimmy G situation, or as it did in Jalen Hurts situation where he becomes the successor. It's just, you have to start investing in that position. And I know there was a lot of work that had to be done, and there wasn't a lot of talent beyond, the top quarterbacks in the draft, the last couple of years. But you have to start to bring in guys, develop them. Like, you can keep Clayton Tune around and you can let him try to progress and develop, but you got to bring in people that are better quarterbacks this offseason to really kind of put the pressure on it, or even give you a better, fallback plan if Kyler Murray isn't available or isn't producing.
Well, they tried to make Clayton Tune expendable. Desmond Ridder was unplayable. He was he was the worst quarterback by a mile. And kudos to Clayton Tune. He was QB2 this year. I'm not taking that away from him. Here's, I think, the toughest part to come to grips with is that we know the Cardinals attempted to trade for multiple big-ticket edge rushers at the trade deadline. There were numerous high-end picks that were involved in those discussions. And myself, we've had discussions about, well, that will carry over into the offseason. And it could still very well be the case. But I think Kyler Murray's play has just been so alarming that while you don't trade him unless you have an avenue to pivot, which they do not right now, I don't think you can say we're a Micah Parsons, a Max Crosby, a Myles Garrett away with Kyler Murray from getting to where we want to be. I think the logical avenue, and this is not the sexy way of going about it, this is very much like the anti-kind, which I know a lot of people will applaud, but Cardinal fans are ready to spend money this offseason. I think they will do that. But I also believe that they need to continue to double down and triple down on what has worked the last 2 years. You have to keep your resources, man. Kyler Murray, and I've said this for the last month, while the regression has happened, he should be the quarterback moving forward, but you cannot go all in for 2025 with him in terms of like a 2021 ascension with AJ Green, Rodney Hudson, and I'm sure Ossenford will get better players. That's a poor example, but you know what I'm getting at. It's like, well, we can firmly check the box at quarterback. I think Kyler Murray can play better, but Myles Garrett, as great as he is, I mean, he's not throwing touchdowns for you, right?
Yeah.
It's not sustainable winning games 10-7, right?
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, unfortunately, right now has removed the benefit of the doubt that you're going to get high-end quarterback play in 2025, especially late in the year. The best interest is just to keep developing this team organically. Yeah. Now, you need to spend more money in free agency by default. Last year and the year before were egregious examples by Ossenford, but I know that a lot of people, and I love, our guy Kyle Odegaard keeps pointing this out, that year 3 is the pop year. I think year 3 is just a continuation based on how Kyler Murray, unfortunately, has fallen off. Keep building. Get this roster ready. If Kyler Murray takes the baton, awesome. But if he doesn't, have an avenue to pivot where maybe a rookie quarterback, Bo, could take this team if it's flipping loaded and make the playoffs, God forbid.
Yeah, if you keep building, right, you're going to put together one of those rosters that so many people are going to say, hey, if Kyler Murray just continues the status quo as far as his production, that you're like, hey, they're just a quarterback away, somebody that's going to be able to drive the ball downfield consistently enough to get the explosives to complement what they're probably going to continue to trend in the direction defensively. But yeah, I mean, look, Lamar Jackson won the MVP last year. He had pretty pedestrian passing numbers, right? 3,600 yards passing, 24 touchdowns. That's not Kyler Murray's season even right now, right? And he obviously has the rushing ability. But what him and Todd Monken were able to do from first year under Monken last year to now is take that thing to, a couple gears higher. And you got to hope that if it is the pop year that you get some sort of semblance to that. But, I think also that the days of just having Kyler Murray being the only capable quarterback and the only experienced quarterback, the most experienced quarterback in the QB room, they should be done. Like, I think this is not the reason for the struggles, and this is not a cure-all, but there is something to be said for when Kyler Murray makes a mistake out there and he's looking at, the breakdown of what he didn't see out there on the field, and then he turns and he's got second-year player Clayton Tune with 1 game under his belt where he's the sacrificial lamb against the Browns and really no experience before that. As much as we like Israel Wolfork as quarterback coach, he didn't have any experience out there on the playing field at the NFL level, and Drew Petzing doesn't either. Like, you need somebody to go and kind of be your peer out there and help you kind of talk through what went wrong. Yeah. I mean, they got to, I think they absolutely have to really change their approach as far as the quarterback position. Your QB1 is not probably going to be found this offseason. You stay with Kyler Murray and hope that he gets back on track, but you start to kind of retool that room with draft and with some of the free agency dollars that you have. I think you bring in a vet, and I think you even take a flyer on somebody in the draft.